Hey everybody, you're tuned in to 91.8 The Fan. This is Kana, you're in my corner, and I'm here with a very special guest, and that would be Philece Sampler. Thank you so much for joining the show.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm looking forward to sharing and having some fun today.
Now, looking over your credits and your resume, I've noticed that you've been in the business for a very long time. Do you consider there to be big changes from when you started to now?
Oh my gosh, yes. And you're only, let me just say this, you're only as old as you feel. so, yeah, I've been in the business a long time. But I started out really in theater and on camera. So I have definitely seen major changes in that arena. Since I came out to California. I'm originally from Texas, from the Dallas area. Pretty much did most of my growing up there. Elementary school was kind of all over the country, but junior high, high school, and college was all in the Dallas area. And then I eventually made my way to California and really got into serious, quote-unquote, showbiz. And yes, it's changed dramatically, and was fortunate enough, did a lot of voiceover and radio spots during that time, but I really didn't start my career in animation until probably about the mid-90s. So, yeah, it's crazy. It's been a wonderful ride so far, and I'm loving the journey, and can't wait for it to continue onward and upward.
I can see that. And is there an early work that you sort of look at as sort of the thing that got you into animation, that got you into anime?
Oh, yes. Well, I actually will have to say it was original animation, and for those of you listeners out there who sort of sometimes wonder, how do I get into this business, one of the things I want to say is do your homework. Be prepared. Study, take classes, practice at home, do all of that kind of stuff, because you never know when your opportunity is going to come. And really, for me, I happened to be at a birthday party. I'm sure a lot of you out there will know the name Jack Kirby. He was the creator of Captain America and Silver Surfer and Fantastic Four and all of that for the comic book world. And he happened to be a good friend of mine. And it was a birthday party for him. And I was talking and mingling with people, and I sat down with this one man, and we started talking and, talked for at least a good half hour. And we realized, oh, well, the party's kind of wrapping up. And I said, oh, by the way, what do you do? And he said, well, I am head of New World Entertainment. New World, I think it was New World Entertainment at the time. And he said, yeah, we're getting ready to do the Incredible Hulk cartoon animation series. And I said, really? You're kidding? I said, that's what I do. I do animation. And he said, you have a reel? And I said, well, I guess I have to preface this by saying I had never done animation, but I had been an actress and in the business for a good 15-plus years, and I knew I was prepared and ready for a challenge like that. So, of course, I said that I did animation, and he asked me for a reel, and I didn't have one, so I said at the time, I'm putting one together. And he said, well, when it's ready, let me have it. In the meantime, let's do lunch, the good old Hollywood let's do lunch story. And I said, sure. And I met him, and I gave him my commercial reel, because I had one at that time. And he said, let me listen to it, and if I think you're right for it, I'll have you in. And I said, sure, that sounds great. And so next thing I know, he's calling me in. I'm auditioning for it, and then I get the part of Betty Ross, and I'm off and running with the Incredible Hulk original animation series. And the second season, Saban took over the project, and I met Jamie Simone, who happened to be put in charge of the production at that time. And when we finished with The Incredible Hulk, Jamie called me one day and said, listen, I have this project that we're going to be doing. It's called Digimon, and I think there's a couple of roles I'd love to find out if you're interested in auditioning. And I said, sure, this sounds great. And so I go in for the audition, and I find out that it's dubbing. It's looping the cartoons. Well, I had never done that before either. But in my acting experience on camera, I had dubbed myself, and I did a lot of looping on, a lot of famous movies and things like that. So I understood the concept, and I knew to listen to the beeps and go after the beeps and try to match the flaps and everything. So I said, sure, I'll give this a shot. And I went in and auditioned, and lo and behold, I get cast as Mimi. So that was really my first anime that I got a chance to do. And it came out of, I know this has been a long-winded story, but, that's how I got. And the other thing that happened from that, I began working with animation directors, and they got to know me and liked my work and started recommending me for other projects. And it's just grown from there. It's very interesting. It's kind of a tight, circle of people that do animation, and if you can get into it, you're truly blessed. And if you have the wherewithal to, continue to grow in it, then there's a lot of opportunity. And the one other thing I feel that I'm very blessed for is that I can do quite the range, anything from infant to ancient. So that holds me in good stead of being able to play a variety of roles and being very castable and having a lot of opportunities to really play and get into some really great characters.
I believe, actually, I could be wrong, but I believe you were also a few boy characters in the Digimon series as well.
Well, right. The second season came out, and they had new auditions because the first season characters kind of grew up a little bit and went off on other adventures, and so they had the second group of kids come in, and I auditioned for Cody and got the part of Cody. So second season I did Cody. And then the third and fourth, I just would come in and do various things, guest shots and things like that. And then for the movie, I reprised a teenage Mimi and I believe a little bit of Cody. And then I also did TK's grandmother in the movie. So yeah, it's good.
I mean, that must have been very interesting to be introduced sort of to a new medium. Did you have any sort of opinions or comments on it when you first kind of found out what anime was? Or were you just kind of like, this is another spectrum of animation. Maybe I should get into this?
Well, it was fascinating because I really had never even really, definitely not experienced it, but not really thought much about it before. So I've always been an adventurer and love what life throws at me, so I was ready for the challenge. And the one thing I will say is that original animation is a lot of fun because you get to go in and, really totally create the character and lay the voice tracks down first, and then everything's drawn to the voice, that's been recorded. Whereas in most of our anime, we dub it. We do it into English. So it's a matter of watching those mouth flaps, listening, and being on top of things. And a lot of times, you'll see a line on paper and you'll think how it should be said, and then you'll see the character do it, and you've got to make it fit, into those mouth flaps. And so it's constantly staying on your toes, and I really believe that the dubbing aspect is much, much more difficult than, original animation. And the only thing is that we get paid a lot less for dubbing than you do original animation. But I find that my most challenging roles have definitely been the dubbing into English of some of these phenomenal characters, that have been created. and it's always a challenge. And yeah, just so much fun, and you just get better and better at it as the more opportunities you have to do it. And yeah, it's just exciting to grow.
No, it definitely sounds like that, and I will say that I'm interested in hearing more from you, and I'm sure our listeners are too, but we're going to go to a very short break, so keep it tuned to 91.8 The Fan, everything you want, nothing you don't.
You need to cry. Let's brainstorm. I could hit you over the head with a wrench, or I could stab you in the gut with the knife. Knife wrench! Practical and safe.
Are you tired of crappy ideas that don't work? So are we. So we invented 918 The Fan. 918 The Fan. Everything you want to hear, nothing you don't.
Knife wrench! For kids.
Hey everybody, you're tuned in to 91.8 The Fan. You're still in Kana's Corner. I'm still Kana, and I'm still with my very special guest that everybody in the IRC is freaking over. I'm just saying.
Well, that's wonderful. I'm truly flattered and blessed. Thank you.
I think a lot of people really respect give your voice that you gave to Mimi in Digimon.
Well, thank you. Like I said, yeah, it was a wonderful. I mean, what a great way to start. You know, being my first real anime character. She was so rich and full of silliness and a little bit of airheadedness, but down to earth all at the same time, and a really good, sweet, loyal, friendship person. And that's a great character to enter the world of anime with.
Now, I must say the one thing I'm very impressed with is your range. Not many females I know can, play a male role naturally. Does that ever hurt your voice, or do you ever become stressed over that sort of different change?
No, it's interesting. I think it's really a placement thing, and if you find, I guess I want to say there's always a comfort zone in my voice, in my throat, or how I make my sounds. So it doesn't really stress my voice out. One of the ones I thought might create a problem like that was I did Hare in Hare-gu, and if any of you guys out there have watched that or gotten the DVDs of it, Hare goes from zero, low-key, to yelling and screaming at the top of his lungs at the drop of a hat. And I never lost my voice or got hoarse or anything during that process. The only time I've had any trouble at all, and this again was a little bit naivete on my part and not really standing up for myself, is I did a bunch of characters for Evil Dead 2, I think the game, and I was a necromancer and I don't know what all kinds of characters. I did 4 or 5 different characters, but they all pretty much screamed their lines, and I usually try to set my sessions up in the afternoons after I've had a chance to get up and warm my voice up and been talking for a while. But this particular session was like 10 o'clock in the morning, and I didn't protect myself because they said, okay, we're going to do all this stuff first. And it turned out that it was all the screaming and ranting and raving stuff, and also they had us do 3 in a row. So you don't do the line just one time. You do it, they give you the beats, and you do the line, and you pause a second, and you do it again, and you pause a second, and you do it again. So I think I had like 1,000 lines to do in that session, and they were pressed for time. And I was doing 3 of them in a row. And at the end of the day, my throat was killing me, and I knew that I was probably going to be hoarse the next day, but it turned out I literally lost my voice for almost 3 weeks, and it scared me to death because I couldn't work during that time, and I was going to my, my naturopaths and my healers and all that kind of stuff to say, what can I take? Well, at that time I could barely even speak. And eventually it took it about 3 weeks for me to completely get my voice back. And I learned my lesson, and I stand up for myself now and, just say, let's save the screaming for the end, and let's do all the other stuff first. And I also try to find characters that I know are in the comfort zone of my voice range so that I don't get hoarse in those instances.
I hear quite commonly that a lot of voice actors try and schedule the screaming at the end of the week. That way they have the weekend to rest.
Well, yeah, I mean, or at least at the end of the session. You can't help it. If you're booked on a Wednesday, you got to get these lines done, at least you try to do it at the end of the session where, your voice is used to the zone that it's been in and it's warmed up and all the vocal cords are flowing and, rich and full and so it doesn't put as much stress on you to do that at that point.
Would you say that directors and studios are a bit more aware nowadays that that sort of thing can wreck a voice actor's voice than, say, 10 years from now or 10 years ago?
Yeah, I do. And because a lot of times so many of the directors are actors themselves, so they've been in that situation or they've been directing now long enough to know the pitfalls, and that can certainly happen. And even now, the guys and girls are great that I work with. A lot of times they'll say, you got to do a blood-curdling death scream, and they'll say, we only need it once from you, Philece. Just give it to us. We'll get it. And so, they're very respectful, I guess is what I'm trying to say, and that is much, much appreciated.
Oh, definitely. And I will say you did mention video games. That must be a whole nother different spectrum since a lot of video games have the fighting noises like the hi-yahs and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
Do you find that more difficult or do you find that more fun?
Well, not more fun. I mean, obviously, playing or developing a character, all the way through their high highs and low lows. A lot of times with the video games, it's either their lows or their highs, and there's not sometimes the feeling of a lot of story that's going on with it. It's just, they say a few lines and then they fight. So for me, that's part of the game, and I understand that, but it's not as challenging. What does become challenging is when you see on the page that you've got 4 in a row fight yells. So the challenge comes in, how can you make each one of them sound different so that it doesn't always, you're not just doing the same thing over and over again, just to vary it enough that this punch sounds different from that punch, and getting hit this time sounds different from getting hit the second time. So that's always a challenge.
I've actually never thought about it like that, but when you mention it, I can think of all the different, ways that they die, all the different ways that they hit each other, all the different ways that they throw their weapon,
Exactly. And so you don't want it to all sound the same. That way people would think, it's just on a loop. It's just they're using the same thing that they recorded, 3 lines before right now. And no, each one is fresh and new, and it's up to us to make it sound that way.
Now, I am curious, did your work in animation, anime, and video games, do you think that's helped improve sort of your on-camera work as well?
Well, I haven't been doing that much on camera. I'm just getting back to it a little bit. I will tell you that the anime and the whole voiceover world is phenomenal because you're not limited. The sky is the limit. It doesn't matter how old you are, what you look like, how you're feeling, anything. You can be any animal, person, object that you want to be. But for on camera, it's really about your physical appearance, and if you are what they're looking for, and the right age, and the right height, and the right weight, and the right eye color, and the right skin tone, and the list goes on and on and on, all the criteria that you have to fit to be cast in on-camera roles. But the anime world just is limitless, and that's just been a sheer joy. I've laughed and I've said being able to do animation has kept me out of therapy. I can be all these other people and don't have to worry about going into therapy sessions and getting my anger out or getting my frustrations out. I can utilize all these wonderful characters to do that.
Well, I'm sure that being on camera, you can't actually play a boy in real life. I think that would be a lot harder.
Exactly. One of the things that I got to do, it's also on the internet right now, called theinterior.tv. It's a series, live-action series that we went down to Panama, in the jungles of Panama, to film. And that's up and running. I play a missionary in that who has been out in the jungles for many, many years and sort of has lost her way. It's a real interesting, fun series. And another on-camera show that is now actually up and running in various parts of the country on PBS. It's actually a live-action musical children's show called Lily's Light. That's LILYSLIGHT.com. And if anybody is interested, they can go to that website and hunt around a little bit, and I believe there's a button that says Behind the Scenes, and if you follow that down, there's a calendar, and it'll show which PBS stations are airing the show at the time. Not only am I co-starring in it, I also co-produced it and co-wrote it. So that's very, very exciting. It's about a magical lighthouse keeper who takes in foster children. So we're doing a lot of outreach work and programs with the foster children as well as adoption services. So that's kind of our outreach program with that. And there's a talking pig and a talking pelican, and these are all live animals. And we have magical journeys. In the middle of this episode, we go to Hamelot, which is obviously a play on Camelot, where pigs rule and the peasants are servants. And our star of that episode is Sir Oinks-a-Lot, who is a stand-up comedy-ham. So we have a lot of fun. It's a great show, and if it's around and everything, people should definitely check it out, and especially if you've got little ones or little brothers and sisters. You know, it's a great family show.
That actually sounds like a lot of fun. Is there any other projects upcoming or currently just came out that you can talk about that you want to promote?
Well, I just finished working on Blaze Blue, the second version. I believe it's called The Continuum. I'm not sure when that's going to be out, but they're hard at working on it. Just a massive, massive project. I got to do Taukaka again, which
Yay!
was so much fun. We love the booby lady and all her crazy friends. So that was a lot of fun. And I just finished working on, I believe they're telling me that it's the fourth in the Gothic series called Arcania. And that's going to be coming out, I think, another fairly big one. And we may be still finishing that one up. I'm not quite sure. But I know those two are coming out. And like I say, I just feel blessed every day when people call and say, I've got something for you to audition for, or I want to book you for, and I just say, okay, where and when, I'll be there, and we'll see where it leads. But those are some of the things that are going on right now.
I must say that I feel very bad for Laura, who does the voice of Lightshy, because now everybody I know refers to her as the booby lady.
Aw, breaks my heart.
That must have been such a fun character, though, since Tao is so very out there, and you get to do the nyas and the meows and whatnot.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this was another one that I couldn't believe it. They just called me and asked me to do it. And I think a lot of times that's the thing that people don't know is, sometimes we walk into a studio and well, at least I guess I should just speak for myself. I have no idea what character I'm playing. I've just been booked for it, and I have no idea, how the character fits into the story or what I'm supposed to be doing. And, they'll say, okay, here's the drawing, and this is kind of what we're looking for. Let's play around for a few minutes to find the character and the voice, and then let's do it. And that's what happened that I remember anyway with Blaze Blue. And yeah, I had no idea she was going to be such a crucial character, and what fun she was going to be able to do. So I just had a romp. It was great.
Well, that's very exciting to hear that you are a part of the second game. I know a lot of fans out there are looking forward to that. I know I personally am looking forward to that.
Oh, good. Well, I think there's a couple of surprises in there. At least when I was recording some of it, I was thrown a few surprises, and I went, really? And they said, oh, yeah, this is what we want. So I said, you got it. So we had, so hopefully there's going to be a couple of surprises in there for you guys.
It sounds very interesting, and I am interested, how can our fans sort of track what it is you're doing now or anything upcoming?
Oh, gosh, I am really, really bad about self-publicity at the moment. I need to get a website. I don't have one. I'm really not on Facebook. To be honest with you, the best way right now is, and I don't even know if I should say this, but maybe through you guys, and I can keep you updated. Or, or like I said, the Lily's Light website, because it's got a place to leave comments and stuff, and I do check that all the time. So I can, give some replies or whatever there. The other thing is that I would love to get into. I really have not done any conventions at all, only the Anime Expo, and that's been through the thanks of Bang Zoom, who've invited me to come down and be a part of their panels and do some judging and also teaching an animation workshop for them. But I've not been out at any of the other conventions, and I'm looking forward to somehow finding out about those and, getting involved in that arena.
Well, hopefully we can catch you at an upcoming convention. We travel to a ton through the year, so if you ever want to know if any of them are good or bad, you can just email us and we'll tell you.
Oh, good. That sounds like a deal.
And is there anything else you'd like to say to the listeners out there?
Just thanks you guys so much for being so loyal and so interested in what I do. It is ultimately a job, but I never call it a job. It's always just such a joy and a pleasure to do, and I'm so glad that I can impart a little of that to you all, and just thanks for the support and the interest, and thank you guys for tracking me down. This has been a delight, and I'll be more than happy to come back anytime you want, and keep apprised of things, and gosh, I don't know. It's all good. That's all.
Well, before we let you go, I was wondering, we're kind of putting you on the spot here, but we do it to everybody, if you participate in a 91.8 The Fan tradition.
Oh, okay.
We ask everybody who comes on, and we do this live for any of the bloopers, if they'd be willing to do a bump for us, a.k.a. say a sentence for us.
Okay.
We were wondering if you could, and fill in the blanks, because I've had a lot of people just say the line and not fill in the blanks. If you could say, my name is, I do this, and you're tuned into 91.8 The Fan.
Okay, and you're
tuned into 91.8 The Fan. And then whenever you're ready.
Okay, let's give it a shot. Hi, my name is Philece Sampler, and I am Mimi from Digimon, and you're tuned into 91.8 The Fan.
Oh, that was great.
I thought I'd give it a little laugh. Who knows?
That was adorable. And it's okay. I'm pretty sure you were writing it down, but I think everybody does nowadays.
Oh, did I wrote it down? I was
think-
writing fast.
Oh, okay. I think everybody does that. I think the numbers just trip them up.
Yeah. You're not used to saying that.
I will say, though, thank you so much for being on the show. We really appreciated it.
Well, thank you. It has been my pleasure, and I wish the fan all the best. I'm so glad that you guys are out there doing this for everybody, that we can all keep everybody in touch and in communication. It's a true blessing, and you guys are to be commended for it. And thanks again for everything.
Aw, thank you so much. And for all the listeners out there who missed any of this interview, shame on you, but you can catch it up on the site in the next few days, so keep it tuned to 91.8 The Fan. Everything you want, nothing